भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So I'll begin the class. In case in between if the audio becomes unclear, you can somebody can immediately tell me. So in the last section, the 17th chapter, Mother Earth is offering prayers to Pruthu Maharaj. We discussed 3 prayers. The Earth said that I offer my respects to the Supreme Person who expands into many forms by the material energy, which are composed of the 3 gunas as a universal form. And I offer respects to you who are understood to be completely free of the waves of samsara when a person realizes your spiritual energy. So 29th verse, first 2 lines talk about the, in the first 2 lines, Mother Earth is offering obeisances to the universal form of the Lord. And the 3rd and 4th line, she offers prayers to the transcendental form of the Lord, which is free from the waves of the samsara. And then the 30th verse, Mother Earth said that you are the independent Lord and you have created me as the shelter of the living entities, as the support of all the living entities. But how is it that now you have come to kill me with the weapons? Apart from you, who can be my shelter? And then in the 31st verse, she said, you are Dharma Para, you are dedicated to Dharma, and you have only created in the beginning of the creation all the moving and non-moving living entities by your Achintya Shakti. And how is it that, and not only you created, you also desire to protect the living entities. But how come that you are desiring to kill me? I am the support of all the living entities. 32nd verse. Somebody can repeat after me. Nunam bateshasya samihitam janais.
Nunam bateshasya samihitam janes.
Tanmayaya durjaya kritatmabhihi.
Tanmayaya durjaya krutatmabhi.
Nalakshyate yastvakarodakarayat.
Nalakshate yastvakarodakarayat.
Yoneka yeka paratascha ishvaraha.
Yoneka eka paratascha ishvara. My dear Lord, although you are one, by your inconceivable potencies, you have expanded yourself in many forms. Through the agency of Brahma, you have created this universe. You are therefore directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are not sufficiently experienced cannot understand your transcendental activities because these persons are covered by your illusory energy.
Here she says that Samihitam means the plan. The plan of the Supreme Lord, Ishasya Samihitam. The plan of the Lord. What kind of a Lord? Akarot Akarayat. Akarot means the Lord who performs the primary creation. Akarayat means the Lord who engages others in the secondary creation. So akarot akarayat. So the plan of that Supreme Lord who carries out the primary creation, sarga, and engages others in the secondary creation. So the plan of that Lord, and also further words describe the Lord. Yo aneka eka paratascha Ishvara. Aneka eka, the Lord is one. At the same time, he assumes many forms through the Maya potency. Paratascha, by the Maya potency, he acquires many forms in the sense that through his energy, all the different, like, it's not that Maya covers a Supreme Lord. That is not the meaning here. It means that all the different bodies of the living entities, they are all actually made of the illusory potency of the Lord, which is the energy of the Lord. So the Lord is one, but he is many through his Maya. And this Supreme Lord, this plan of this Supreme Lord, na lakshyate, cannot be understood by what kind of people? By the people who are akritatma bihi. Akrita means people with a bewildered minds. Or Prabhupada says that akritatma means persons who are whose senses are not controlled or who are covered by the illusory energy. So the Lord's plan cannot be understood by people whose minds are bewildered by what? Tan mayaya durjaya. By the people whose minds are bewildered by the unconquerable Maya. So Jaya means that which can be conquered. Durjaya means that unconquerable. So Mayaya, Durjaya is the adjective for the word Mayaya. So essentially, the Mother Earth is saying that your plan, the plan of the Supreme Lord, cannot be understood by people whose minds are bewildered by the Maya potency. So yeah, we'll discuss like this verse and next verse in detail. So here Prabhupada explains in his purport, unless one is favored and especially endowed with grace, he cannot understand how the one Supreme Lord acts through his different energies. So Maya means energy. Brahma is not an energetic, but it's one of the manifestations of the Lord's material energy. Next verse. Sargadi yosya yosyanu shakti bir. Somebody can chant. Sargadi yosyanu shakti bir.
Sargadiyotsyarunadi shaktibir
Dravya kriyakaraka chetanatmabhihi.
Dravya kriyakaraka chetanatmabhihi
Tasmai samunnadda niruddha shaktaye.
Tasmai samunnadda niruddha shaktaye
Namah parasmai purushaya vedase.
Namah parasmai purushaya vedase.
Please read the translation.
My dear Lord, by your own potencies, you are the original cause of the material elements, the performing instruments, the senses, the workers of the senses, the controlling demigods, the intelligence and the ego, as well as everything else. By your energy, you manifest this entire cosmic creation, maintain it and dissolve it. Through your energy alone, everything is sometimes manifest and sometimes not manifest. You are therefore the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. I offer my respectful obeisance unto you.
So the earth is saying that therefore I offer respects to the the Lord who is the possessor of the inconceivable potency. So Namaha, I offer respects to the Lord, the Creator, who carries out creation, maintenance, and destruction. Sarga Adi. Sargadi means creation, maintenance, and destruction of the universe for the benefit of the devotees by his energies, which is composed of Dravya, Kriya, Karaka, Chetana, Atmabhihi. By his energy is composed of body, senses, sense devatas, ahankara, and intelligence. And I offer respects to you who possesses great but mutually contradictory energies. See, this is an interesting word. Tasmai Samunnadda Niruddha Shaktaye. Samunnadda means great, and Niruddha Shakti means contrary energies. Niruddha Shakti. The Lord possesses great but mutually contradictory energies. To that Supreme Lord, I offer my obeisances. So here, Earth is feeling that in the beginning of the creation, the Lord protected her by lifting her from the bottom of the ocean. Now the same Lord, but in another form, is trying to kill her, is about to kill her. So this is a contradictory action of the Supreme Lord. So therefore she says that Tasmai Samannudda Niruddha Shakti. I offer respects to the Lord who possesses contrary energies. So there are like various examples how the Lord sometimes Lord has energies which are contradictory. Lord creates and also destroys. Through one energy he creates and another energy he destroys. The Nagapatnis, they offer a prayer. Nama Pramana Mulaya Kavaye Shastra Yonaye Pravruttaya Nivruttaya Nigamaya Namo Namaha. We offer respectful obeisances again and again to you, who is the basis of all the Pramana, and who is the Kavaye, author, and the ultimate source of the revealed scriptures, Shastra Yonaye, and who has manifested in the Vedic scriptures which encourage sense gratification, as well as those scriptures which encourage renunciation of the material world. Pravruttaya Nivruttaya Nigamaya Namo Namaha. There is a Pravritti Marga and a Nivritti Marga. The Lord is the source of the scriptures which describe Pravritti Marga, as well as the scriptures which describe Nivritti Marga. The same Lord is the source of both of them. Although both are actually contradictory, but the Lord is the source of both of them. So similarly here they say that Samannudda Niruddha Shakti, the Lord is the possessor of mutually contradictory energies. My camera is not clear. I am using actually hotspot connection. Not sure. Is the audio clear? Is the audio clear? Camera I'm not able to do actually. So at least I'll, if the audio is clear, I'll go ahead. So there are mutually contradictory qualities of the Lord also. The Lord is softer than a rose, and sometimes he behaves harder than a thunderbolt. Mahaprabhu did not even turn back when Sarvam Bhattacharya became unconscious or Gadadhar Pandit became unconscious. The Lord is having a localized form, at the same time he is all pervading. He is Nirguna as well as Saguna. So these are various examples of the mutually contradictory qualities of the Lord, or the contradictory Shaktis of the Lord, or how the Lord is the source of even the Pravritti scriptures which describe Pravritti Marga and Nivritti Marga. So here Mother Earth is saying that previously you protected me, now you are trying to kill me actually. So these activities appear to be contradictory. And then she says, like if we see in this particular next verse, and then she says, Savai Bhavan Atma Vinirmitam Jagat Bhutendriyanta Karanatmakam Vibho Samstapayishyan Ajamam Rasatalat Abhyujyaharam Basa Adi Sukara. You can read the translation, Prabhu.
My dear Lord, you are always unborn. Once in the form of the original boar, you rescued me from the waters in the bottom of the universe. Through your own energy, you created all the physical elements, the senses, and the heart for the maintenance of the world.
So Adi Sukara, she's actually remembering the Adi Sukara, the Varahadev form. You, in the form of the boar, Abhyujyahara. Abhyujyahara means you took me out, you lifted me from what? Ambasa, from the water which is below the Rasatala. And so you lifted from the water below Rasatala this universe, which is consisting of Bhuta Indriya Anta, which is consisting of elements, senses, and mind. And this universe was Atma Vinirmitam, which was created by you. So Mother Earth is trying to invoke the mercy of Pruthu Maharaj by reminding him how in the beginning of the creation, or in the beginning of the day of Brahma, how the same Lord lifted her, protected her from the bottom of the Garbhodaka ocean. So by narrating that incident, Mother Earth is actually trying to evoke the sympathy of Pruthu Maharaj. Like in the Upanishad, the devotee prays that Vayu Ranilam Amrutam Atedam Basmantam Shariram Om Kratosmara Kritam Smara Kratosmara Kritam Smara. Let the temporary body be burned to ashes and the life air be merged with the totality of the air. Oh my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you are the ultimate beneficiary, please remember that all that I have done for you. Kratosmara Kritam Smara. The devotee is actually reminding the Lord, please remember all the services I performed. The Prabhupada says that actually this prayer is not a very high prayer, because the devotee is little anxious whether the Lord will reward properly or not. Actually, the Lord does not need to be reminded about what all activities we have done. Like sometimes when we are delegating certain services, we may have to remind people, oh, are you going to do this? Are you? But the Lord does not have to be reminded. So therefore, this devotee is praying, offering this prayer out of little anxiety. Similarly, here Earth is actually trying to remind the Lord of his previous actions in order to invoke his mercy. But in the case of the Supreme Lord, he never forgets even the service which is performed thousands and lakhs of years back. Even that service is very insignificant. there's a verse in 10th canto, I think 48th chapter or somewhere. It is said that the Lord will never forget a service, never forget even a very insignificant service, even if that service is forgotten by the devotee who performed that service. So various examples how Krishna did not forget his devotee Muchukunda. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced the trees and sent them back to God for the service they rendered in his incarnation as Lord Ram. So here, Earth is actually trying to remind the previous actions of Pruthu Maharaj to evoke the mercy. Next verse.
Can we take question?
Yes, sir.
We see that Pruthu Maharaj is a Shaktiavish avatar. So how can Mother Earth is saying to him that you have saved? Because we say that Shaktiavish avatar is nothing but the manifestation of the Lord energy. So needed some clarification on that.
In the sense, Pruthu Maharaj is a living entity who is empowered with the ruling potency of the Lord. Who is empowered with the ruling potency of the Lord. So Mother Earth is seeing Pruthu Maharaj as a Amsha of the Supreme Lord, in the sense that, although he is a living entity, but she's seeing that how he is empowered with that particular vibhuti of the Lord, that vibhuti of ruling potency, and with that potency, that is the potency is Amsha of Vishnu. With that potency, Pruthu Maharaj is trying to kill her or trying to attack her. But with the same Lord, previously he saved her. So that is the contradiction she is saying. Yeah, she is definitely seeing the living entity, but then the living entity is empowered with the ruling potency of the Lord. That potency is the Amsha of Vishnu. In that regard, she is saying that.
Okay, because when Srila Prabhupada was similarly ascribed, obviously they called Srila Prabhupada as God only, but then we see that Prabhupada took some steps in order to make everyone understand. So that way I was a little bit getting confused with this kind of glorification of Pruthu Maharaj.
She is not saying that Pruthu Maharaj is the Supreme Lord. Previously, in the beginning of the creation, the Lord actually saved her. But now, with another potency, through this Pruthu Maharaj, the Lord is trying to kill her. She's trying to evoke that. You have to see the inner mood. It's not the inner mood of the prayer is that the contradictory activities of the Lord. She is trying to remind the Lord. She is trying to remind Pruthu Maharaj to stop punishing her.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. 35th verse. In the continuing the same theme, she is saying that Apam upaste mayi nav avastita praja bhavan adya rirakshishu kila sa veera murti samabu daradaro yomam payas ugra sharo jigamsasi. I can read translation.
My dear Lord, in this way, you once protected me by rescuing me from the water, and consequently your name has been famous as Dharadhar, he who holds the planet Earth. It at the present moment, in the form of a great hero, you are about to kill me with sharpened arrows. I am, however, just like a boat on the water. keeping everything afloat.
So, like regarding that question, we also see Sakshat Daritvena Samasta Shastre. The spiritual master should be given respect like the Supreme Lord because he is the representative of the Lord. So, in that sense, Pruthu Maharaj is the representative of the Lord in the form of the king, Naradeva. So, in that mood, she is actually glorifying Pruthu Maharaj as the Lord, as being the representative of the Lord, because he is empowered with the ruling potency of the Lord. Yeah, it does not mean that yeah, the spiritual master is identical with the Supreme Lord in all respects. So, Rirakshishu means desiring to protect the progeny. Progeny, which is situated in me, Avasthita. I am actually a Navi, I am a boat in the water. So, desiring to protect the progeny, you previously lifted me. You lifted me up. And now you have become Pruthu, Veera Murti. Now you have become Pruthu, who is the Veera, who is the form of courage, Veera Murti. And now you are desiring to kill me, Jigamsasi, with your sharp arrows, Ugra Sharo. So, again, she is actually trying to remember the contradictory activities of the Lord. So, although the Lord once saved the earth, now he wants to upset the earth, which is like a boat on the water. So, no one can understand the activities of the Lord due to a poor fund of knowledge. Human beings sometimes think the Lord's activities are contradictory. So, we can see just like exactly Sarvam Bhattaj when Kaviraj Goswami used that example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called as Gadadhara Prananath, who is the life and soul of Gadadhar Pandit. But when Gadadhar Pandit became unconscious when Mahaprabhu was leaving to Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu did not even turn back to look what happened to Gadadhar Pandit. And of course, here Mahaprabhu showed indifference there. But here the Lord is actually, in the form of Pruthu Maharaj, is trying to attack the very same person whom he killed whom he protected previously. So the whole theme of these verses is that how the Lord's activities and his intentions are difficult to understand. The theme, also the theme of these verses also shows how the contradictory nature of the Lord's activities, contradictory nature of the Lord's potencies. So the last verse, somebody can repeat.
Prabhuji, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Prabhuji, what is the lesson that Lord as Pruthu Maharaj is performing this kind of pastime where though he says in Bhagavad Gita that Maya Dakshina Prakriti, though Lord knows that Mother Earth has retracted all the supply of natural resources on account of sinful activities of Vena, but still he is chastising Mother Earth like this. So what lesson, why this pastime is taking place like this?
Because all the citizens are hungry.
One more point, Roger, one more point. Because in Sandipani's Muni's episode, Prabhupada writes in purport that Lord is eternally grateful for even little service rendered by the devotee. So we hear that Mother Earth is such a great devotee of Lord, but still, why Lord as Pruthu Maharaj is chastising Mother Earth despite being Paramatma in everybody's heart and knowing the situation?
Because all the citizens are starving of hunger. The citizens are starving of hunger, and the earth has not supplied the food grains. So
But
the Lord is devoted to bhakti as well as dharma. Haribol.
Yes, nature is working under Lord's direction only, no?
The Lord is devoted to bhakti as well as dharma. He is Bhakta Vatsala, and also he appears to establish dharma. So Pruthu Maharaj has appeared in order to Pruthu Maharaj has appeared in order to establish dharma. So one of the part of dharma is that all the people are actually starving out of hunger. And when the earth has not supplied the food grains, the earth has withdrew the food. She had withdrawn the food grains because Vena was ruling. But even after Vena had died, the rule changed, but she did not produce the food grains. Maybe she was thinking that even this particular king will also be similar to Vena. So, but she had not actually separated the food grains. Therefore, Pruthu Maharaj is chastising earth. So, in the sense, even if a devotee is not performing his duty properly, the Lord actually chastises the devotee or corrects the devotee in some way. Like Bhishma Dev is a pure devotee of Krishna. But Krishna told Arjuna that when Arjuna was reluctant to fight with Bhishma, although Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala, Bhishma is a Bhakta of Krishna, but Krishna told Arjuna that you must not hesitate to fight Bhishma, because that is an obstacle for the Pandavas to establish the Dharma Rajya. So here the earth is not supplying the food grains. The earth is a devotee of the Lord, but the earth has not performed her duty of giving the food grains. So therefore the Lord is chastising, Pruthu Maharaj is chastising the earth.
Because Prabhuji, Mother Earth is eternal consort of Lord.
Yeah, but when she is playing the role of a Devata earth, but she is not performing her duty of giving the food grains. So the Lord is, that's why I mentioned this point. The Lord is devoted to bhakti as well as dharma. So when the Lord appears in this world to establish dharma, even if the devotee is not performing his duty, then the Lord actually tries to correct the devotee to make him perform that duty. So Pruthu Maharaj is not going to kill earth, but he took up the bow and arrow to almost shoot arrows at earth, but with the purpose that earth should supply the food grains. So that is why these verses are talking about the contradictory nature of the activities of the Lord, that how one cannot understand the plan of the Lord. That's why I gave the example. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Gadadhara Prananath. Gadadhar Pandit is the Srimati Radharani. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. Here we are saying Mother Earth is the eternal consort of the Lord. Similarly, Gadadhar Pandit is the eternal consort of Krishna, Srimati Radharani. But when Gadadhar Pandit just fell down unconscious, Mahaprabhu did not even look back. And Sarvam Bhattacharya fell down unconscious. Mahaprabhu did not even look back, because as a sannyasi, he wanted to perform his dharma. As a sannyasi, he is supposed to travel and preach. So just because his devotees do not want him to travel, Mahaprabhu did not want to not perform his dharma as a sannyasi. At the same time, Mahaprabhu, he took the permission, he took the blessings of the devotees. The devotees were trying to postpone Mahaprabhu going to South India. We see Mahaprabhu, how he was, his character as a devotee, wanting to take the permission of the devotees. At the same time, we can see Mahaprabhu is called as Nyasi Shiromani, the crest jewel among the sannyasis. So Mahaprabhu also followed sannyas dharma. So Krishna actually balances between bhakti and dharma. Great.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So the last verse of this chapter, Nunam Janairi Hitamishvarana Asmat Vidai Tat Guna Sarga Mayaya Nagyayate Mohita Chitta Vartmabis Tebhyo namo veera yashaskarebhyah.
My dear Lord, I am also the creation of one of your energies, composed of the three modes of material nature. Consequently, I am bewildered by your activities. Even the activities of your devotees cannot be understood. And what to speak of your pastimes? Thus, everything appears to us to be contradictory and wonderful.
So you see, when a person is behaving consistently, somebody suppose speaks sweetly, smiles all the time. So when that person, we have experienced that side of the personality of that aspect of the personality of the person, and suddenly the same person who had shown so much of affection, always speaking sweetly, and that person suddenly chastises us, we become bewildered to see the contradictory or the other side of the personality of the person. Like one devotee was at the Gopinath temple, he was telling another senior devotee that when you give class in the Bhagavatam class, in the Vyasasan, it appears nice actually. The moment you come out of the Vyasasan, when you take up the role of a manager, then we become afraid actually. Oh, what kind of a personality? How can he make these decisions? So sometimes even in our life also, when we see the other side of the personality of the person, we actually become bewildered. We become puzzled. How can this person behave like this? So here, Mother Earth is also behaving like that. Nunam janer ihitam ishwaranam. Your desire is not known to persons. Asmat vidais, like the wives or the son of the devatas. The Krishna says, Name vidu saragana, prabhavam na maharshaya, aham adirya devana, maharshi namcha. He says that neither the great devatas nor the sages can know me. So similarly, she says that your desire, your plan is not known to persons, not known to even to devatas. It's not known to devatas' sons or devatas' wives, because tat guna sarga mayaya, their minds are bewildered by the ignorance arising from various bodies we assume in this world. We assume various material bodies, even if it is a devatas body, it is a material body. So because of that, one's mind is actually bewildered by the ignorance. And more than that, the living entities are not surrendered to the Lord. Your desire is not known to persons like the wives or the son of the devatas, whose minds are bewildered by ignorance arising from various bodies we assume in this world, but who have surrendered to you. I offer respects to that Lord who brings fame to the persons celebrated for charity. Tebhyo namo veera yashaskarebhyah. Veera yashaskarebhyah. That means I offer respects to that Lord who brings fame to the person celebrated for charity. So here, Mother Earth is saying that, like, Pruthu Maharaj is ready with the bow and arrow to attack Earth. By seeing this action, the Devatas and the relatives may think that Pruthu Maharaj is going to kill Earth. So Pruthu Maharaj, the Mother Earth is saying that although the Devatas' wives and the sons and their sons may think that you are going to kill me, but I don't believe that you are going to kill me, because your inner desire is not understood by the persons like the Devatas or his relatives. Because why these people are not able to understand your inner desire? Because these Devatas and the relatives are wandering around by the Lord's ignorance potency. They are wandering around by the Lord's Maya potency in the different material bodies of the Devatas, men and animals. Although they may be Chitta Vartmabi, although they may have taken shelter of you, the Devatas are devotees of the Lord, but still they are wandering around by the Maya potency of the Lord in different material bodies. So because of that, they are unable to understand your desire. You are unable to understand your plan. So they are thinking that you are going to kill me. But I don't believe that you are going to kill me, although you are having the bow and arrow with you. So in the sense, Earth is having the firm actually conviction that Pruthu Maharaj is not going to kill her. So if you see the whole theme of these verses, last 4 or 5 verses, one prominent theme which comes is that how the Lord's desire cannot be understood easily. Lord's desire cannot be understood easily by the people who are under the illusory potency of the Lord. His plan cannot be understood. So I'll just quote some verses in the Bhagavatam which has this theme. Of course, there is a very famous verse which says that how the Lord's plan cannot be understood. It's a verse spoken by Bhishma Dev. Nakshyasya karihichit rajan puman veda vidit sitam yad vijigyasaya yukta mukhyanti kavayopihi. Bhishma is telling to the Pandavas, no one can understand the plan of Krishna because even those engaged in reasoning and scripture are bewildered by that inquiry. So this is a verse where Bhishma is also pacifying the Pandavas that no one can understand the Lord's plan because the Pandavas went through so many difficulties in their life. Another verse which also tells that how the Lord's plan cannot be easily understood. Brahma speaking to Priyavrata. Brahma says that Niboda tatedam vritam bravimi masu yutam devam arhas aprameyam vayam bhavaste tatayesha maharshi vahama sarve vivasha yasya dishtam. So Brahma is telling to Priyavrat Maharaj, you should not hate the Supreme Lord who is beyond estimation, whose plan cannot be understood by us. Because Brahma has come to Priyavrata to convince Priyavrata to become the king, to tell that this is the desire of the Lord that you should become the king. And Priyavrata was thinking that why the Lord is putting me in this trouble, why the Lord is wanting to make me as a king. So Brahma is saying that, first of all, do not hate the Lord because he is wanting you to become the king. And please understand that nobody can understand the plan of the Lord. He is beyond estimation. Aprameyam. And another verse which talks about how the Lord's plan cannot be easily understood is that Yamaraj is speaking to the Yamadutas. Yamaraj speaking to the Yamadutas in the 6th canto. Aham Mahendro Nirti Pracheta. In that verse, he says that I, Yamaraj, Indra, Nirti, etc., as well as the Devatas headed by Brihaspati and the great sages headed by Bhrigu, all of us are certainly freed from Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Although we are certainly situated in Sattva Guna, Yasya Ihitam na vidus Krishtamaya, but still we cannot understand the activities of the Lord. We cannot understand the plan of the Lord because we are touched by his Maya potency. If we cannot understand the plan of the Lord, what then is said to be of others? Another verse which has the same theme, how the Lord's plan cannot be understood, is spoken by Uddhava to Vidura. Uddhava is recollecting the different activities of Krishna. Mam Kedayat. Verses not in the proper this one, 3.2.16, where Uddhava is saying that Krishna's appearance in the prison house of Kamsa in miserable circumstances and stay in Vrindavan out of fear of the enemies and is leaving Mathura, although he has infinite power, all these things used to give me great suffering. Because he says that all these activities of Krishna, although Krishna is all knowing, that means he is sufficiently able to consult with himself, but still Krishna would consult me as if he is bewildered, although he is never bewildered. And this action of Krishna is bewildering to me. So Uddhava is recollecting various activities of Krishna. Although Krishna is unborn, he took birth as a son of Vasudeva and Devaki. So all these activities of Krishna used to give me great suffering, because I don't know why Krishna performed such activities. Although Krishna has infinite powers, he actually he flew out of fear of the enemies. So Uddhava is again saying that the Lord's activities are difficult to understand. In that purport also, Prabhupada quotes the Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes the same verse, Nahyasya karhichit rajan puman veda vidit. And then another verse which talks about how the Lord's plan cannot be understood easily is spoken by Swayambhu Manu to Dhruva Maharaj. Avyaktasya aprameyasya nana shakti udayasya cha navai chikirshitam tata ko vedata swasambhavam. Nobody knows the plan of the Lord, who is invisible and unfathomable, and from whom numerous energies arise, and from whom you are born. So these are some verses which talk about how the Lord's plan cannot be easily understood. And even another verse which talks about how the Lord's plan cannot be understood is when Dharma was speaking to Parishit Maharaj, the first canto, Parishit Maharaj is asking Dharma. The Dharma is that bull, and the bull was being, I think, tortured by that Kali personified. Parishit Maharaj is asking, when Parishit Maharaj asked, he wanted to get a verdict from the Dharma personified that, oh, this person is causing me suffering. But Dharma told Parishit Maharaj, some people say that the self is the cause of suffering. Others say that planets are the cause of suffering. Others say that karma is the cause. Others say the inherent property of matter is the cause. And among these, some people ascertain that happiness and distress come from that which is beyond reason and perception, and consider the proper truth by your intelligence. So in this verse also, the same verse is quoted, Nakyasya karhichit rajan puman veda vidisitam. Sometimes, especially in the devotee's life, sometimes certain suffering comes especially in the pure devotee's life or liberated associates. They don't have any karma in their life, but still they go through terrible suffering in their life. One may wonder, how can they get terrible suffering? So that is the plan of the Lord. And that plan of the Lord cannot be easily understood. So similarly, and like that, there are other verses. Also, 3rd canto, 4th chapter, Uddhava is speaking to Krishna, how the Krishna's activities are inconceivable. So the theme of these verses, which Mayarth is also speaking, is the same. How she is speaking about the contradictory nature of the activities of the Lord. The same Lord who protected her before, the same Lord is about to kill her. Is about to kill her. So this plan of the Lord cannot be easily understood. And Prabhupada in the purport, he says that how the Lord's activities are inconceivable. Uncommon and wonderful, and it is inconceivable. So this inconceivable nature of the Lord, again, there are various examples in the Bhagavatam. For example, when Krishna was entering Dwaraka, there's a verse which describes that Sitata Patra Vyajanair Upaskrita Prasuna Varshair Abhivarshita Pati Pishangavasa Vanamalaya Babau Gano Yadarko Dupachapa Vaidyutai. So when Krishna was entering Dwaraka, it appeared that sun, moon, stars, rainbow, clouds, lightning, all these were simultaneously present. The scene appeared like that. Krishna's Pitambar dhoti appeared like a lightning, and somebody was holding a waving charmer. So that appeared like some kind of, I think, clouds. I think stars are like that, and some people are showering flowers. So that appeared like stars falling. The white umbrella above his head was compared to the sun, and the movement of the chamara was compared to the moon. So it appeared all the simultaneously present. And Prabhupada says that actually normally all these things cannot be simultaneously present, but by the inconceivable potency of the Lord, the adjustment is possible. So Achintya Shakti makes impossible into possible. So Krishna is impartial to the whole universe. At the same time, he is partial to his devotees. Usually, both these things cannot be possible. Somebody is partial, he cannot be impartial. Somebody is impartial, he cannot be partial. But the Acharyas say that both are possible by the inconceivable potency of the Lord. Another example, in the Damodar Leela, how Krishna was localized, he did not increase his size. At the same time, he exhibited his all-pervading nature. Mother Yashoda could not bind Krishna despite the increased ropes, although his size did not increase. So the whole theme is the inconceivable nature of the activities of the Lord, the contradictory nature of the activities of the Lord. And Prabhupada writes in the purport that for our understanding, it is sometimes said that the Lord is there as the Paramatma in the heart of the householder. So the super Paramatma in the heart of the thief indicates dictates the thief go and steal things from that particular home. And at the same time, the Lord tells the householder, so be careful of the thieves and burglars. So these instructions may appear contradictory, but we should know that the super soul has some plan, and we should not consider such activities contradictory. So that is why Bhishma Dev, when he is instructing Pandavas, he says that how the plan of the Lord is inconceivable. The Pandavas ask that, so why can't we ask directly Krishna about what is his plan? So Bhishma Dev says that don't even want to know about the plan of the Lord. You should be focused more on submitting to the plan of the Lord instead of wanting to know the plan of the Lord. Instead of wanting to know why the Lord is actually planning like that. Instead, one should actually submit to the plan of the Lord. Here, Mother Earth is actually offering these prayers. And how Pruthu Maharaj responds, we'll see in the start, that is the next chapter, 18th chapter. So anybody has any questions? Otherwise, we'll start the 18th chapter. So we'll begin the 18th chapter. I want to complete it in a summary way, 18th chapter. So tomorrow we'll complete the 19th chapter.
Hare Krishna, Bhaji.
Yes.
Roji, this like we discussed that we cannot understand the plan of the Lord, and but at the same time we see that so many ups and downs keeps happening in our life, and situational and circumstantial. So how to be always means how to be Krishna conscious and face it in a devotional way, understanding that it's the desire of the Lord, so let me undergo it. If we cannot understand the plan of the Lord always.
we have to understand, we have to do in the practical, whatever is the needful in the practical platform. But at the same time, we have to understand the ultimate plan of the Lord, it is only for the welfare of me. We may not know the details of how it is the welfare, how it is for my good. But ultimately, it is meant for our own purification. Because during the difficult times, one's faith in Krishna is actually challenged. So one may become little passively, like, I did so much, or why this is happening to me. One's faith is challenged. So we they are the testing times, that how we have to understand that how it is ultimately it is meant for my own purification. So those people who develop that attitude, that actually what I am getting is a very small in comparison to actually I deserve much more. So such people become the that is the qualified candidates for going back to God. And Prabhupada explains in one purport, how is it possible to develop such consciousness? So it's easy to speak that, but many times the emotions are so strong that in those times we feel a strong emotion of, say, some revenge towards somebody, who this person is responsible for me, or some anger or some revenge. So those emotions are so strong, it becomes difficult to think that, accept the situation in a grateful mood. So that's why it is said that emotions are like the tail of a dog. So even if we straighten the tail of a dog, the next moment the tail of a dog comes to the same position. So we may intellectually try to convince and say, oh, it is actually I deserve more, it is for my own purification. In that way, we may try to straighten our mind intellectually. But then, without even we realizing, few seconds later, we may observe that our consciousness is still focused on the same negativity. Again, we try to straighten that our mind, our emotion. But even without even like, our mind tends to go towards that particular, just like the tail of a dog tends to go towards the same curved portion. And in the conditioned state, although we may try to straighten it, our conditioned mind tends to go into that same, say, grudge feeling or revenge feeling. So Prabhupada gives one solution in one purport in 6th canto. He says that how is it possible to develop such a consciousness that I deserve much more, but what I am getting is a small token. He says that such consciousness is actually possible when a person serves a pure devotee of the Lord. Yata Krishnarpita Prana Tatpurusha Nishevaya. 6th canto, 1st chapter. When you serve a devotee whose life breath is Krishna, like we cannot live without breathing. So when you serve that devotee who cannot live without remembering Krishna, who cannot live without serving Krishna, yata Krishnarpita pranas, or when you serve a elevated devotee, a pure devotee, by serving such a devotee, it is possible to develop such a consciousness. And that is why we see, if we see Narada Muni's story, Narada Muni, he served the Bhakti Vedantas as a small child when he lost his mother. What was his consciousness? Tada tadagam ishasya bhaktanam sham abhipsitam. Narada Muni, the small boy, he considered that situation as a mercy of the Lord. That is that verse, the meaning of that verse. So for a small 5-year-old boy, to think like that when the only shelter is gone, that is something unimaginable, because he could get that consciousness because he served the Bhakti Vedantas. So this is the way out. Prabhupada gives a solution. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So we'll begin the 18th chapter. Somebody can read the translation, first 2 verses.
The great Saint Maitreya continued to address Vidura. My dear Vidura, at that time, after the planet Earth finished her prayers, King Pruthu was still not pacified, and his lips trembled in great anger. Although the planet Earth was frightened, she made up her mind and began to speak as follows in order to convince the king. My dear Lord, please specify your anger completely and hear patiently whatever I submit before you. Please turn your kind attention to this. I may be very poor, but a learned man takes the essence of knowledge from all places, just as a bumblebee collects honey from each and every flower.
So here, even after Mother Earth offered those prayers, Pruthu's lips were trembling in anger. And then again the earth started speaking. The Pruthu Maharaj was so focused that till the time that Mother Earth says that, okay, I'm going to give the food grains, Pruthu Maharaj was, he did not want to give up. He was so focused that he was still exhibiting his anger, because he wanted to remove the hunger of the citizens. Although Mother Earth offered such beautiful prayers, Mother Earth has not told so till this point that, okay, I will release all the food grains. She has not made that statement. So therefore, Pruthu Maharaj is still, his lips were trembling in anger. So now the Mother Earth, she fixed her mind by her intelligence, samstab atmanam atmana, and then she started speaking. Because ultimately, you have to understand the needs, interest, and the concerns. Although you may glorify a person, you may give many things. Ultimately, if you don't address the needs of the person may continue to remain angry. So now Mother Earth fixed her mind by her intelligence. Okay, I have to give the food grains. So therefore, she is going to speak about this point of how to get the food grains to alleviate the hunger of the citizens. So here, so we can see in these verses how Pruthu Maharaj was fixed in his purpose of alleviating the hunger of all the citizens. Pruthu Maharaj did not get carried away when earth took the shape of a cow. And when earth gave so many different arguments, Pruthu Maharaj did not get carried away. And when earth offered such beautiful prayers and glorification of him, still Pruthu Maharaj did not get carried away. But if we compare Pruthu Maharaj with Bharat Maharaj got diverted from his purpose. He came to the forest with the purpose to perform exclusive bhakti. But when he saw the beautiful form of the deer, he got carried away by that small deer cub. But Pruthu Maharaj did not get diverted from his purpose even by seeing the form of a cow. So sometimes like we should not lose track of the mission. Like Hanumanji, when he was crossing the Lanka, Mainak Parvat wanted to serve Hanumanji with great love and feeling. She wanted to express her gratitude towards Vayudev, who protected her when Indra was cutting off the wings of all the mountains. But Hanumanji, he didn't want to take rest and then go after some time. At the same time, he didn't want to hurt Mainak Parvat. He said that your just words, they have actually refreshed me. Your sweet words have given such a have refreshed me so much that I don't feel the need to actually take rest. And Hanumanji, he just touched the Mainak Parvat and then he just went ahead in his mission of Lord Ram. So therefore, sometimes one can get carried away from one's real purpose, either by the affectionate words of some near and dear ones, or sometimes one can carried away by from one's purpose by the other emotions like anger, etc. Like Indra, when Krishna came to fight with Jarasandha, Krishna killed the entire army of Jarasandha, 21 Akshabani divisions. But he did not kill Jarasandha. You can imagine, to kill such a big army, one has to exhibit so much of anger. But still, Krishna did not use that anger to kill Jarasandha, because Krishna thought that, oh, this person is so enthusiastic to collect all the demonic forces in one place. So let me use his enthusiasm as an instrument for fulfilling the purpose of my descent, that is removing the burden of the earth. So Krishna did not get carried away by his anger to kill Jarasandha. He was focused on his mission of removing the burden of the earth. So therefore, like he killed everyone except Jarasandha. So we can see how the Lord and the great devotees, they don't deviate from the purpose of the mission. They don't allow their emotions like affection or anger. They don't allow their emotions to distract them from their purpose for which they have descended. So here Pruthu Maharaj is still focused. So then Mother Earth is saying that control your anger and understand what I say. An intelligent person takes the essence from all beings. There are two kinds of devotees, Saragrahi and Bharavahi. So Saragrahi is one who takes the essence from everywhere. There's something to learn from every person. Even if a person is doing the wrong activity, we can learn that, oh, this person is teaching me what I should not do. In that way, we can accept even that person as a guru, because he is teaching me what I should not be doing. Whereas a Bharavahi is somebody who has the load of knowledge, who has a burden of knowledge, but he does not know the purpose of the knowledge, or he does not know how to apply that knowledge. A Bharavahi is like the pillar in a library. The pillar is holding the library, which contains thousands and lakhs of books. In that sense, the pillars in the library, they are actually holding so much of knowledge. But the pillar in the library is not transformed by that knowledge. So then Earth is saying that Asmil Loke Atava Mushmin Munibis Tattvadarshibhi Drishta Yoga Prayuktascha Pumsam Shreya Prasiddhaye. You can read the translation.
To benefit all human in society, not only in this life, but in the next, the great seers and sages have prescribed various methods conducive to the prosperity of the people in general.
So Earth is telling that Tattvadarshibhi, the sages who have seen the truth, have acknowledged the methods for attaining human benefit in this life and also in the next life. Asmil Loke and Amushmin, both in this life and in the next life. So therefore, Prabhupada talks about the importance of following the Shruti and Smriti. Shruti, even in the process of Bhakti, Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, Pancharatrika Vidim Vina, Aikantiki Harer Bhakti, Utpata Eva Kalpate. So we should follow the principles of Shruti and Smriti, not only in one spiritual life, but in material life as well. When Manu Smriti speaks about the ways of living, the laws are given by the Manu. So Prabhupada talks about how the Manusmriti talks about how a woman should always be protected in all circumstances. And if people follow the injunctions of the Shruti, Smriti, and the sages, they can actually be happy both in this life and the next life. So the whole purport is how one should follow the standard ways of life according to the Shastra. And as a result, people, the human, but in the current time, people are inventing many methods to live. And as a result, people are bewildered and there is no peace or happiness in the world. So, because they do not follow the liberated instructions of the Vedas, they are unhappy. So, that is why it is important. Sometimes we may be practicing the 9 processes of bhakti, the core process of bhakti. But in the respect to other aspects of life, whether managing the institution or other aspects of life, we may not be following the Vedic principles. Sometimes there may be a difficult situation, one may not be able to follow. But sometimes we may purposefully neglect the neglect the standard Vedic principles to follow in the different aspects of life. So then even though we may be practicing the 9 processes of bhakti, but when we don't follow the standard Vedic principles with respect to other aspects of life, then it will create some obstacle. It will create certain instability. It will create some instability. Suppose a person is having a pure cow milk, but if a person is drinking that pure cow milk in a plastic container, so that plastic container, it reacts with that pure cow milk, and then because of that, certain unwanted chemicals are secreted when we drink that milk, and then it will create certain problem. It is scientifically it is said that it will cause certain cancer over a period of time. So similarly, that even though we may be practicing the pure devotional service processes, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, etc., but when we don't follow certain Vedic principles for other aspects of either management or say preaching or say our varnashram, our living in this world, then it will create certain instability. So the whole purport is about how we should follow the standard methods, not only for spiritual life, even for material life. So unfortunately, in this age, the even exalted people, they don't believe even in the next life. So then what advice they can give? So Amushmin is very explicit in this verse. It is the duty of everyone to mold his life in such a way that he will live a profitable next life. So just as a boy is educated in order to become happy later, one should be educated in this life in order to attain an eternal and prosperous life after death. Next verse. Tan atishtati yahasam yak upayan purva darshitan avara shraddayopeta upeyan vinda tenjasa.
One who follows the principles and instructions enjoined by the great sages of the past can utilize these instructions for practical purposes. Such a person can very easily enjoy life and pleasures.
Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. So here in this verse, Earth is saying that the inexperienced person, avara means inexperienced person. The inexperienced person having faith who applies these methods previously shown easily attains the desired results. Inexperienced person or a conditioned soul, when he follows the Purva Darshitan Upayan, when he follows the standard methods which are previously shown, with faith, if he follows those processes, he will easily attain the desired results. So, especially one of the modern ethos or even the Darwin's theory, one of the result of that is that anything old is bad. Any old process, anything old, is bad. But here it is explained that one should follow the standard methods which are previously shown. So Prabhupada says that every conditioned soul is avara, inexperienced. So everyone is abodha jata, born a fool and a rascal. And such people who are inexperienced, who are abodha jata, they are actually electing the leaders. So what is the result of the legislation? So one political party utilizes the country for one purpose, and the another party forms a different type of government and nullifies all the laws and regulations. This process of chewing the chewed will never make human society happy. Next verse. Tan anadritya yo vidvan artan arabate swayam tasya vyabhicharantyartha arabdascha punah.
A foolish person who manufactures his own ways and means through mental speculation and does not recognize the authority of the sages who lay down impeccable directions is simply unsuccessful again and again in his attempts.
So the goal of a foolish person was ignored the authorized methods and who acts independently and attempts repeatedly are not fulfilled. So through a positive statement and also through a negative statement, through Anvaya and Vyatireka, Earth is telling that how the people should follow the standard authorized methods. How when they ignore them and acts independently, their attempts are not fulfilled. So here Prabhupada talks about the difference between the conditioned soul and the liberated soul. The conditioned soul has got the 4 defects, but the liberated soul is free from the 4 defects. And the directions of the liberated souls are mentioned in the Shastra. A follower may be conditioned, but his actions are, but when the follower, the conditioned follower, if he follows a liberated leader, then his actions are naturally liberated from the contaminations of the material nature. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Amara Ajnaya Guru Hoi Tare Desh. By my order, you may become a spiritual master. So one can immediately become a spiritual master by having full faith in the transcendental words of the Supreme Lord and by following his instructions. And materialistic men are not interested in taking directions from a liberated person, but they are very much interested in their own concocted ideas, which make them repeatedly fail in their attempts. So because the entire world is now following the imperfect directions of the conditioned souls, humanity is completely bewildered. So Brahmaji says in one prayer that Na Bharati menga mrishopalakshyate navai kvachin me manasa mrishwa gatihi name rishikani patantya satpate yanme hridaut kantyavata druto harihi. So because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, the great zeal, whatever I say has never proved to have been false. Nor is the progress of my mind ever deterred, nor are my senses ever degraded by temporary attachment to matter. So Brahmaji says that because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Lord, I have become free from the 4 defects. So now in the 6th and 7th verse, she tells the reason for why there were no grains, and she also tells how to take out the grains in the 8th to 11th verse. So 6th and 7th verse, she gives a reason for why the reason for starvation. Pura srishta kyoshadayo brahmanaya vishampate bhujyamana maya drishta asadbir adritavrataihi.
Dear king, the seeds, roots, herbs, and grains which were created by Lord Brahma in the past are now being used by non-devotees who are devoid of all spiritual understanding.
So she says that the plants created previously by Brahma, Brahmana ya Vishampate, are being enjoyed by the sinners. Asadbir Bujyamana Maya Drishta Asadbir Adrita Vratai are being enjoyed by the sinners who have no sense control. So therefore, Mother Earth is saying that I withdrew all the food grains. So here, elaborate purport on the word Adrita Vratai Asadbir. So the purpose of the grain, so Prabhupada explains first about the purpose of creation. Purpose of creation is so the living entities get an opportunity to enjoy independently from Krishna, and ultimately they realize the goal of returning back to Godhead. And all the necessities are provided for the living entities when they are living here. The flowers, trees, grains, animals, etc. But when these facilities which are provided, when they are utilized by the non-devotees, who have no plans for spiritual understanding, then the earth actually withdraws the facilities. The production is checked by the earth itself when it is misused by the non-devotees. So Asadbi Adrita Vratai. Asadbi refers to non-devotees. Adrita Vratai means Adrita Vratai is opposite to the word Drita Vratai. So Adrita Vratai, Prabhupada gives a synonym for this word as Griha Vrata. Griha Vrata means those who are just determined to just enjoy sense gratification or just staying at home. And the devotee is called as Drita Vrata, non-devotee is called as Griha Vrata. So the whole Vedic plan is to make a Griha Vrata into Drita Vrata. And so the activities of the Drita Vrata, the devotees they perform the activities to please Krishna. So such activities are called as Krishnarte Akila Cheshta, which is same as Yagyartat Karmanonyatra Lokoyam Karma Bandhanaha. So when people do not perform activities to please Krishna, when they don't perform Yajna, so then the resources are withdrawn by the earth. So that is the reason for poverty. Next verse. Apalita nadrita cha bhavadbir loka palakai chori bhuteta lokeham yagyarte grasamoshadi.
My dear king, not only are grains and herbs being used by non-devotees, but as far as I am concerned, I am not being properly maintained. Indeed, I am being neglected by kings who are not punishing these rascals who have turned into thieves by using grains for sense gratification. Consequently, I have hidden all these seeds which were meant for the performance of sacrifice.
So she says that apalita. Apalita means not protected. Anadrita. Adrita means respected. Anadrita means not respected. So not protected and not respected. Bhavadbir lokapalakai, by kings like you in this place filled with thieves, I have devoured all of the plants so that the sacrifice can be performed in the future. Chori bhuteta lokekam yagyarte grasamoshadi. So she is telling the reason. So with Vena in mind, she also scolds her son Pruthu. So she is unprotected because no sacrifices are being performed. And she is not respected because irreligion has spread. But after that, when the Vena died, the place became full of thieves. So Earth is saying that if I had not devoured all the plants, so therefore, after the Vena died, then all the thieves became prominent. Therefore, the Mother Earth had not actually had continued to keep all the food grains hidden. So Prabhupada also talks about in the current, he's comparing with the current time. He says that currently there is a large scale industrial arrangement for producing food grains. But all these products are meant for sense gratification. And despite such a huge arrangement, there is scarcity everywhere. Because the population is filled with a chori bote. So according to the Vedas, men are transformed into thieves when they plan artha for kama without performing dharma. So according to the spiritual communism, all the properties on the surface of the globe belong to the Supreme Lord, and the population has a right to use the goods only after offering them to the Supreme Personality of God. And this is the process of accepting the prasadam. So therefore, when a person does not offer to Krishna and takes, then he is a thief. So therefore, because of that, there is a scarcity. Now, in the next 4 verses, 8 to 11, she is telling how to take out the grains. So I'll just take a short break. Just maybe short break for 5 minutes, then we continue. Eighth verse. Nunam ta viru dakshina mayi kalena bhuyasa tatra yogena drishtena bhavan adatu marhati. You can read.
Due to being stocked for a very long time, all the grain seeds within me have certainly deteriorated. Therefore, you should immediately arrange to take these seeds out by the standard process, which is recommended by the acharyas or shastras.
So again, Prabhupada in the purport, he especially talks about the standard process to get grains. He talks about the performance of yajna, standard process. And there are 2 words here, yogena drishtena. Yogena means by the approved method, drishtena means as exemplified by the former acharyas. So if you see, even in the historically, if you see the statistics about the India's GDP, how much India was producing the food grains before the Britishers came, before this all this mechanized agriculture started, before the so-called green revolution started, pesticides and these things were introduced. India's production of the food grains was much more actually. There was almost India was contributing to 25% of the world's GDP. So therefore, the Prabhupada talks about the standard process approved methods. One is mistaken if he thinks that by applying modern machines such as tractors, grains can be produced. The tractors were created during the Second World War. The Second World War, many industries were created to manufacture the weapons. And then so that those weapons, those industries don't go into waste. Then later the tractors were created. Those tractors were used for agriculture. And many chemicals were produced during the Second World War for making the weapons. And then after the war ended, then in order that those industries don't go into waste, they started using those same chemicals as a pesticide for agriculture. So those chemicals were created for the purpose of destruction. So how can those chemicals which are used for destruction, which are produced for destruction, how can they be used for creation? creation of the food grains. So to satisfy these chemicals, they also destroy many useful things in the sand, useful things in the earth. So in the long run, they make the earth becomes dead actually. The short term, because of the chemicals, the tractors, because of the tractors, the hard work is saved. Without the tractor, one will use the bull for actually plowing the land. That will take actually lot of time. The tractor will do the same work in a short time. But the point is that the bull will actually keep the earth very lively. It brings life to the earth. But even scientifically proven that the tractor destroys many of the useful things in the earth. And also the pesticides and different chemicals. In the short term, they may increase the productivity, but in the long term, you have to keep putting more and more chemicals. The earth becomes dead. So Prabhupada mentions about this thing. There is one book actually. There is one particular, I think, small book written by one Prabhupada disciples. I forget the name, related to environment. So that contains many of the statistics about production of the food grains. So we may adopt various means, but it is essential to know that the planet Earth will stop producing grains if the sacrifices are not performed. The Earth has already explained that because of non-devotees are enjoying the production of the food, she has reserved food seeds for the performance of sacrifice. So, but of course, the atheistic people will not believe in the spiritual method of food producing the grains. So then Prabhupada also talks about Sankirtan Yajna as the Yajna for the sage. Even though, as we have learned from the previous verse, one who is not Krishna conscious is a thief. Even though he may be materially very advanced, a thief cannot be placed in a comfortable position. A thief is a thief and is punishable. And then she says, O protector of the living entities, O great hero, if you desire to relieve the living entities by supplying them sufficient grains, and if you desire to nourish them by taking milk from me, first thing is you should make arrangement for a calf suitable for this purpose. And second is you have to bring an appropriate pot to actually to store that milk, in which the milk can be kept. And third thing required is an appropriate milkman who can do this work. These three things are required. Because I will be affectionate towards the calf, your desire to take the milk from me will be fulfilled. So, so here Prabhupada tells the importance of the calf. There must be an expert milkman and a suitable pot and a calf. So cow cannot deliver sufficient milk without being affectionate to her calf. So currently many of the farms, they milk the cow through mechanized means. So such milk does not contain the affection of the cow. Does not contain the affection of the cow. It is like a it will have many negative feelings actually. So, so just as the calf can derive milk from a cow, all living entities, including animals, birds, beasts, and reptiles, can receive the respective foods from the planet Earth, provided the human beings are not asat and agrita. So if the human beings are well behaved, animals will also receive sufficient food grains and be happy. And the ungodly human being, ignorant of his duty to give protection and food to the animals, kills them to compensate for the insufficient protection of the grains. And therefore, nobody is satisfied. You can read the next verse, translation 11th.
Verse number 9.
11. I covered
Verse,
the 10th.
verse number 11. My dear king, may I inform you that you have to make the entire surface of the globe level. This will help me even when the rainy season has ceased. Rainfall comes by the mercy of King Indra. Rainfall will remain on the surface of the globe, always keeping the earth moistened, and thus it will be auspicious for all kinds of production.
Sorry, suddenly the connection stopped. Sorry for the disturbance. Suddenly connection stopped. So, so she told about the need of the calf, the pot for storing the milk, and the milkman. And then she's telling how to actually, she's telling some guidelines for actually for the rainfall. So here, make me level so that the auspicious water falling by the Indra's grace will remain for you when the rainy season has passed. So you need to have proper method to store the rainwater. So earth is telling that please actually make the make my surface into a proper level so that the rainwater will be stored even after the rainy season is over. And when we level the surface, the land will also be suitable for agriculture, and also she is telling to level the earth so that the rainwater will get stored later. So now the next series of verses, I will not go into different verses, but some points in the purport I will highlight. So yeah, Pruthu Maharaj, after listening to the words of the earth, he performs whatever guidelines the earth has told. So he made Swayambhu Manu as the calf and milked out all the plants into his own hands. His hands became the milking pot, and Pruthu Maharaj himself he was the milkman, and he actually milked out all the plants into his own hands. And the next verse, others who were as intelligent as King Pruthu also took the essence out of the earthly planet. Indeed, everyone took this opportunity to follow the footsteps of Pruthu and get whatever he desired from the planet Earth. So although this episode, this whole story started because the citizens were starving out of the food grains. They were in need of the food grains. But we will see in this particular chapter, not only the citizens got their food grains, but the people from all over the universe, they also got the necessities, including the different devatas, the Sapta Rishis. So everyone's needs were fulfilled. So everyone took the opportunity to follow in the footsteps of Pruthu and get whatever he desired from the planet Earth. So other intelligent persons took the essence in all conditions as the earth had explained. And they also milked the earth who was devoted to Pruthu according to their desires. So this verse introduces the related topics to illustration of the earth's words. So just as Pruthu accepted the essence of the earth's words and doing that achieved his desired results, others also being intelligent did the same thing. The principle is that the intelligent people take the essence in the words of all the people at all times. So that is the point which is highlighted by Krishna Chakotipat. Intelligent men should follow the, and Prabhupada, he takes the verse to other another point. He says intelligent men should follow the Sankirtan Yajna. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yajna Sankirtana Prayar Ejantihi Sumedasaha. Sumedasaha means people who are having fine intelligence, they perform Sankirtan Yajna to worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And also there is another verse, Kalim Sabhajayanti Arya Gunajna Sarabhaginaha. Those who are intelligent, the cultured people who are seeking the essence, they worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by performing Sankirtan Yajna. That is another point Prabhupada explains. So therefore the next series of verses talk how the different people got the necessities by milking the earth. So Brihaspati was made the calf, and the sages obtained from the earth milk in the form of the pure Vedic verses. Payas Chandamayam Shuchi. And what was the part? The senses were the part, the Indriyas were the part. So Prabhupada explains that just like food is one of the necessities of a living entity, similarly, proper sound vibration in the form of the Vedic knowledge is also one of the necessities for human society. If the human society simply remains satisfied just with the food grains, with roti, kapada and makan, then the society will not make sufficient sufficiently progress. So humanity must have food for the mind as well as the ear, as well as for the purpose of vibration. So the transcendental, as far as the transcendental vibrations are concerned, the essence of the Vedic knowledge is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So if the Mahamantra is chanted regularly and heard regularly by the devotional process of Shravanam and Kirtanam, it will purify all the societies and the humanity will be happy both materially and spiritually. And then the Devatas, they made Indra as the calf and they produced nectar with the power of mind, senses and body as the milk. They produced nectar with the power of mind, senses and body as the milk. And what was the pot? The pot was a pot made of gold. Hiranmayena patrena viryam ojo balampayaha. So Prabhupada translates, he says that the Devatas, they got Somarasa as the milk. The Somarasa is not same as an ordinary liquor. Ordinary liquor takes a person deeper into Tamoguna. Somarasa is a heavenly liquor which increases one's Sattva Guna. It's a different kind of beverage available in the heavenly planets. And it is far different from the liquors made of the demoniac people. And then the sons of Diti, the demons, they made Pralad as the calf and they produced liquor in an iron pot, contrast to the Somarasa. So one thing we will find in these verses, how there is different food for different living entities according to the different modes. So those who are in Tamoguna, they have different food. Sattva-guna, they have different food. What is food for one living entity can be a poison for another. And we will also see in these verses how there is a variety in the material world. Radhanath Maharaj, he told in one class that because the Daityas, they got the liquor as the milk. They made Pralad as the calf and they got that they used the iron pot as the container. So different people, they were in need of different things. The Saptarishis, they wanted actually the Vedic mantras. So material world is a place where there is a variety in rebelling against Krishna. Spiritual world is a place where there is a variety in serving Krishna. So those people, there is because the variety in rebelling against Krishna, those people, they have different food, and all those food in the form of the milk, it was all those food grains all those food is provided by the earth. That is what we see in this particular chapter. So Diti, the Daityas, they got liquor. And the Gandharvas and Apsaras, they made Vishwavasu as the calf, and they produced beautiful, sweet songs as the milk, and with a lotus as the pot. How the actually lotus flower could hold that pot, the beautiful songs, I am not able to understand, maybe in a subtle level. And the Pitris, the Devatas of the funeral rites, they made Aryama as the calf, and with faith produced offerings to the ancestors as the milk in a pot of unbaked clay. So Prabhupada in the purport, he quotes Yanti Deva Vrata Pitrun Yanti Pitru Vrataha. There is a planet called Pitruloka, and the predominating deity of the planet is called Aryama. He is somewhat of a demigod, and by satisfying him, one can help the ghostly family members develop a gross body. And those who are very sinful and attached to their family do not receive a gross body made of material elements, but remain in a subtle body. And they are called as ghosts. And the ghostly position is very painful. So because they have all the material desires, but they don't have the facility to fulfill those desires. So it's a very painful situation. The mind wants to enjoy, but it doesn't have a gross body to enjoy this, fulfill those desires. So from time immemorial in India, the son of a dead man goes to Gaya, and at a Vishnu temple there offers oblations for the benefit of his ghostly father. It is not that everyone's father becomes a ghost, but the oblations of Pinda are offered to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, so that if a family member happens to become a ghost, he will be favored with a gross body. But if one is habituated to taking prasad of Lord Vishnu, there is no chance of his becoming a ghost or anything lower than a human being. So in Vedic civilization, there is a performance called a Shraddha, by which food is offered with faith and devotion. If one offers oblations with food and with faith and devotion, either to the lotus feet of Vishnu or to his representative in Pitruloka, Aryama, one's forefathers will attain material bodies to enjoy whatever material enjoyments is due them. And then the next verse says that the Siddhas, they made Kapila as the calf, and they produced Siddhis such as Anima, Mahima, etc. as the milk. And the Vidyadharas, they produced knowledge of flying in the sky as the milk, with the sky as the pot. So Prabhupada in the purport, he says that just like a fish can swim within the water, the Vidyadhara Lokas, the residents of Vidyadhara Loka can swim in the ocean of air. As far as the inhabitants of Siddhaloka are concerned, they are endowed with all the mystic powers. Those mystic Anima, Lagima, Prabhupada explains that. So these, one may wonder sometimes, the Bhagavatam, there are various prayers which say that devotees say that we don't desire mystic powers, mystic siddhis. Krishna explains in detail about the mystic siddhis, and then he says that these mystic siddhis are an obstacle for a person who is advanced, who is wanting to advance in the spiritual life. So one may wonder, who has desire for Anima, Mahima? We may not find any devotees having, or we may not find common people having desires for Anima, Mahima. One may wonder what is the relevance of these verses. But if we deeply see, the desire to produce gadgets which are smaller and smaller, that is like the desire for Anima Siddhi. The desire to produce more and more sophisticated, say, iPhones, or sometimes nowadays there are some, you can come up with a laptop without even there are some videos which I showed, without even the actual physical laptop. So the desire to produce better and better technological gadgets, better and better, like airplanes or different other things. All the desire to go to other planets. All these things are representations of the desire for the different mystic siddhis. Maybe these terms may not be known to the people, and but the desire to control other planets, the desire to control the distant things, the desire to desire to transmit information faster. All these things are different manifestations of the desire for the mystic siddhis. So the name of Kapila Muni is significant in this verse because he was the exponent of Sankhya, and his father Kardama Muni was a great yogi and mystic. So Prabhupada talks about Kapila and Kardama. And then 20th verse, the Kim Purushas and others, they made Maya as the calf, and they produced astonishing trick of disappearing at will as the milk. There is a particular siddhi of disappearing at one's will. They got that particular power as the milk. So that is nothing but actually Ishita Siddhi. The demon generally learned mystic powers by the practice of yoga. The Dashama Skanda, there is a vivid description of, if you see in the Krishna Leela, the different demons, they had these mystic siddhis. So Bakasur appeared before Krishna and is covered by friends as a gigantic crane. So while present on this planet, Krishna had to fight with many demons who could exhibit the wonderful mystic powers of Kimpurusha Loka. So although the inhabitants of Kimpurusha Loka are naturally endowed with such powers, one can attain these powers on this planet by performing different yogic practices. Yakshas, Rakshasas, ghosts and Pishachas, who are eaters of flesh, they made Shiva as the calf and produced liquor made of blood in a skull. So, if you remember, we also discussed one verse in the last chapter, how Pruthu Maharaj would satisfy the needs of all the living entities, all the prajas. The word Raja called Ranjayati iti Raja, one who would please all the living entities. So because of Pruthu Maharaj, people from all over the universe, different groups of people, they also got the necessities fulfilled. Gopitaya Jagat Srishti, there's a verse which comes in 22nd chapter, how Pruthu Maharaj actually fulfilled the desires of all the living entities. So that is, we can see in this particular chapter. And the snakes without hood, scorpions and the snakes with hoods, they made Takshaka as the calf and they produced poison as the milk with their mouths as the pot. Well, one point Prabhupada says Shiva is called as Bhutanatha, the master of the ghosts. The master of the ghosts. Rudra was born from between the Brahma's eyes, and Brahma was angry at the four Kumaras. So, and in the purport about the snakes, Prabhupada says that the point is that everyone is taking his eatables from the planet Earth. So according to one's association with the material qualities, one develops a certain type of character. If one feeds a serpent milk, the snake will simply increase his venom. However, if one supplies milk to a talented sage or saint, the sage will develop finer brain tissues by which he can contemplate higher spiritual life. So these verses also confirm the Upanishadic verse, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. The one Supreme Lord is maintaining all other living entities. So when we see Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra is a summary of the Upanishads. So different episodes in the Bhagavatam, they actually contain the different Upanishadic verses. So this episode, this chapter in the Bhagavatam, it can be mapped to the Upanishadic verse, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. The one eternal, the one Supreme Lord in maintaining the necessities of all the eternals. So in that sense, the Upanishads and the Vedanta Sutra are contained within the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Upanishad and the Vedanta Sutra, they are contained in the Krishna Leela and in the different Leelas of Krishna in the different avatars. But in the Vedanta Sutra and the Upanishads, you can't find a Krishna Leela. So that is the difference between Vedanta Sutra and the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam contains the Vedanta Sutra and the Upanishads. But in the Upanishads and the Vedanta Sutra, you can't see the Leelas of Krishna and his incarnations. So this particular chapter is actually is an elaboration of this Upanishadic verse, Yeko Bhakunam Yo Vidadati Kama. And then 23 and 24. Explain. 23 and 24 says, the cattle making Nandi as the calf produced grass as the milk. And carnivorous animals, they made a lion as their calf and produced the flesh of other living beings as the milk, with the forest as the part. The birds making Garuda as the calf produced insects and fruit as the milk, with their stomachs as the part. So how the different four-legged animals, they got their food grains, different types of, there are many carnivorous birds descended from Garuda. Indeed, there is a particular type of bird that is very fond of eating the monkeys. So eagles are fond of eating the goats. Therefore, all these different beings, they got their food grains. And the trees, they made a banyan tree as the calf. See, banyan tree is always glorified in the Shastra. Krishna says that Ashwatta Sarva Vrikshana. Among the different trees, I am the banyan tree. Urdhva Moolam Adashakam Ashwattam Prahuravyayam. The material world is compared to a banyan tree, Ashwatta. Ashwatta means Ashwa plus Ta. That which will not exist tomorrow. Shwa means tomorrow, Sta means existing. Ashwasta, that which will not exist tomorrow. Because material world is temporary, therefore material world is particularly compared to Ashwatta tree. So Ashwatta is a potency of the Lord, is a vibhuti of the Lord. That is why one of the items of sadhana bhakti refers to like worshipping the Ashwatta tree. So here the trees made the Ashwatta tree as the calf and they produce the sap as the milk. So every species, they made the best among those species as the calf. The Daityas, they made the best among them, Prahlad as the calf. The sages, they made best among them, Brihaspati as the calf. So every species, they made the best among them as the calf. And the trees got a sap as the milk. The mountains made Himalaya as the calf, and they produced various minerals with the plateau as the part. And other living beings, making their chief person, the calf, produced various things as milk in their respective parts from the yielding earth, was dedicated to Pruthu. So Prabhupada says that, he again quotes, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. So on the basis of these descriptions, how can one assume that there is no living entity on the moon? So Prabhupada tries to bring out different lessons. He says that there is life on other planets also. So every planet produces different types of food according to the needs of the residents. So it is not true that the moon does not produce food or that no living entity is living there. So then in this way, Pruthu and others who eat the food milked different milks, their desired foods from the earth with the different parts and different calves. 28th verse. So Pruthu became fond of the earth, who supplied all the foods. The earth supplied the food for all the living entities. So therefore, Pruthu Maharaj became very affectionate to the earth, and out of affection, Pruthu Maharaj made Pruthu as his daughter. So it was inappropriate to make Pruthu, the earth, as the wife, because Pruthu Maharaj milked the earth. for food with his own hands. So you don't actually deal with that in that way with the wife. So therefore, Pruthu Maharaj considered earth as the daughter. It was inappropriate to take her as his mother because since he threatened to punish her with his arrows in his hand. So it is inappropriate to take her as the mother because you don't punish the mother. And it is inappropriate to take earth as the wife because he milked the earth. So suppose if the Pruthu Maharaj had considered earth as the wife or as the mother, then it would have been a rasabas. It would be an instance of the rasabas. Therefore, the acharyas clarify this. This is different places. The acharyas they actually clarify. Like Balramji, when he danced with the gopis, he says that these gopis were different set of gopis apart from the gopis with whom Krishna danced. If they were the same gopis as Krishna had danced, there would be an instance of rasabas. So therefore, the acharyas clarify that if Pruthu had accepted earth as the mother or as the wife, then it would have been rasabas. So he considered earth as the daughter. And finally, when affection appeared, he took suitability her as his daughter. So it is 12:12. So I'll stop here. So we have 4 more verses in this chapter, which will finish tomorrow, and then we'll take up the 19th chapter. If anybody has any questions or comments? So we'll stop here. No questions. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Grantharar Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So tomorrow is the last session. I'll try to cover the 19th chapter maybe in a summary way. Hare Krishna.